When I was 16, I started walking dogs in my neighborhood to save up for my first car. It seemed like easy money, just me, a few treats in my pocket, and a rotating crew of neighborhood pets. My routes were pretty simple. Most followed the same suburban trails, and within a couple weeks, I had the schedule down to muscle memory. 5 regular clients, all within walking distance of my house. But there was this one stretch I absolutely hated. A block with an abandoned house that had been sitting empty for years. People in town called it the Brewer place, though nobody really knew what happened to the family. Some said foreclosure, others whispered about a nasty divorce, and a few even claimed they just disappeared one day. Whatever the truth was, the house looked like it was rotting from the inside out. Victorian style with peeling gray paint, boarded up windows, and a porch that sagged like it would collapse if a squirrel jumped on it. The yard was so overgrown you could barely see the front steps. The dogs hated it even more than I did. Every single one would have the same reaction when we got close. They'd freeze, ears raised, staring at the property like they were seeing something I couldn't. Penny, this fluffy little mutt, actually peed herself once right in front of the place. Max, a terrier mix, would pull so hard on his leash that my hands would be raw by the time I got home. After a few close calls, I started crossing to the other side of the street whenever we passed it. I figured the dogs were picking up on some animal scent. Maybe coyotes used the yard as a cut-through or something, but deep down I knew it was more than that. The way the air felt colder there, how the street went quiet. I always felt like someone was watching me or something. Then came that Friday in July, with Cooper. Cooper was a golden retriever. Sweet, kinda dopey, and strong. He belongs to a family 3 blocks over and had been walking him 3 times a week without issue. That day was hot and still the kind of afternoon where the air feels thick enough to chew. When we approached the Brewer place, I automatically crossed the opposite sidewalk like always. But Cooper didn't growl or bark like the other dogs. He just stopped. Dead still, his ears perked up, eyes locked on the house. "Come on, Coop," I said, giving his leash a little tug. He didn't budge. Then, without warning, he barked once, sharp, loud, and bolted. It happened so fast, the leash yanked out of my hand as he sprinted across the street toward the house, barking frantically at something I couldn't see. I called his name, running after him, but he disappeared around the side of the property. I stopped at the edge of the yard, my heart pounding. The overgrown grass was shin high, and suddenly everything felt wrong. The neighborhood sounds, cars, kids playing, lawnmowers, seemed to fade away. It was just me in that house and the silence where Cooper's barking should have been. "Cooper," I yelled, my voice sounding hollow at first. Nothing. I didn't want to go in. Every instinct told me to run, but Cooper was my responsibility and I couldn't just leave him. Reluctantly, I stepped onto the property. The grass felt damp despite the heat, and each step seemed harder than the last. I circled toward the side of the house, calling Cooper's name over and over again. That's when I heard the jingling of his collar tags. Relief flooded through me as I spotted him trotting back from behind the house. His tail wasn't wagging though, and the leash was cut. Not frayed, not torn, cut clean through, with the remaining piece still attached to his collar. The nylon end was straight and crisp, like it had been sliced with a sharp blade. I picked it up with trembling hands, examining the clean edge. My stomach dropped. Someone had cut his leash. Someone was here. I grabbed Cooper's collar and started backing away, pulling him with me. That's when I heard it. A soft scraping sound from inside the house, like something being dragged across the floor. Through a gap in one of the boarded-up windows, I caught movement, just for a second. The outline of a face, pale and gaunt, watching us. I ran all the way back to Cooper's house, lungs burning, not stopping until we were safely at his front door. I told his owner some story about getting tangled around a pole, handed over what was left of the leash, and got out of there as fast as I could. That was my last day as a dog walker. I made up an excuse about summer school and needing to focus on my studies, but the truth is, I couldn't bear the thought of walking past that house again. I still wonder what would have happened if Cooper hadn't come back on his own. I think about that face in the window, and I think about those few moments where I lost sight of him, how something out there had enough time to reach down and deliberately cut that leash. The other half of the leash is still there, somewhere on that property, and sometimes, late at night, I swear I can hear that same scraping sound outside my bedroom window, like something dragging itself closer. My grandma only told this story once, and even then she didn't say much, just enough for the room to go quiet and all of us to realize how close she came to disappearing that night. It happened just last year, back when she still lived alone in that little house with the red shutters. Just her and the dog, a German shepherd named Rex. She'd rescued him from the shelter about a month earlier. Rex wasn't exactly what you'd call intimidating at first glance, but he had a way of making his presence known when he needed to. Grandma was a creature of habit. Same route, same time, every evening after dinner. She always walked Rex around the neighborhood park. 2 lefts, a right, and back to the quiet streets behind her house. Quiet area. Everyone knew everyone. That night was colder than usual. Early October. The sun had already dipped below the rooftops. Most porch lights weren't even on yet. Grandma said she noticed Rex was acting strange about halfway through their usual route. His ears perked forward, tail stiff, nose twitching frantically. He kept looking behind them, like he knew something she didn't. She said it wasn't unusual for Rex to notice cats or other animals, but this was different. He wasn't curious, he was on edge, and soon, Grandma started to feel it too. You know how sometimes you just feel watched? She picked up the pace, pulling Rex along, trying not to look back, but a few houses down, she heard it. Footsteps behind her, slow, deliberate. She stopped and turned. A man was walking about 50 yards back, watching them. He wore a dark jacket despite the mild weather. When Grandma turned, he glanced away, too quickly. She told herself it was her imagination, or maybe someone else was out walking. Nothing weird about that. But Rex let out a low growl she'd never heard before. The kind of growl you'd feel more than you hear. That's when Grandma knew. She said her first thought wasn't fear, it was disbelief. Like, this doesn't happen to people like her. Not here, not in this neighborhood. But she didn't run, she just kept walking faster, cutting through the grass instead of staying on the path, nearly dragging Rex now. Every time she looked back, the man had to close the distance a little more. She started hearing the crunch of his footsteps, no longer attempting to maintain a natural distance. Grandma was about to break into a run when Rex suddenly transformed. His entire body tensed, teeth bared, barking ferociously at the man behind them. The man hesitated briefly, then started angling to circle around the dog. That's when Grandma knew for certain this wasn't just her imagination. She turned to run, and that's when she felt it. A hand, cold, strong, grabbing the back of her neck. It was so cold, it burned against her skin. She said she didn't scream at first. She couldn't. It was like her brain had short-circuited. Her knees went soft, and Rex went ballistic, lunging at the man, teeth bared, and just as fast as the hand had grabbed her, it was gone. Headlights. A car skidded to a stop beside them. A small blue sedan, passenger side window already rolling down. The driver jumped out, not even closing his door as he ran towards them. The stranger hesitated, looking between Grandma, the barking dog, and the approaching man from the car. Then he turned and ran into the thicker wooded section of the park. The man from the car reached Grandma just as her knees gave out. He caught her before she hit the ground, while Rex continued barking in the direction the stalker had fled. Back in his car, the stranger checked if she was okay. She barely managed to nod. She didn't want to go home alone, so they drove to a nearby gas station and called the police. She filed a report. The mysterious rescuer a man named Daniel, who'd been driving home from a shift to the hospital, stayed with her until she felt safe. The police never found the man who grabbed her, though there were 2 similar incidents reported in the neighborhood towns in the weeks that followed. They told her she was lucky. These things don't usually end with someone getting away. She didn't walk at night anymore after that. She got motion lights installed, even a camera above the garage. Not because she was paranoid, just aware. And Rex? He got a ribeye steak the next day and hasn't left her side since. That blue car saved my life, Grandma mentioned once, her eyes distant with the memory. And Rex? They both saved me. She showed me a photo, Rex the German Shepherd with the blue sedan partially visible in the background. Daniel, the man in the blue car, kept in touch, started coming by to check on her. The way she told it, like she wasn't the main character, like it was something that just happened to her. Sometimes it only takes a second for everything to change. That night, she was lucky. The right dog, the right man, and the right car at the right moment. It's been 3 weeks since Emily and I broke up. We'd been together for just over 2 years, but things have been tense for months. The breakup was surprisingly civil. We both knew it was coming. The only real point of contention was Winston, our German Shepherd mix. She'd been acting strange around him for the past few weeks before we split. I'd catch her staring at him for uncomfortably long periods or whispering to him when she thought I wasn't around. It was weird enough that when we discussed who would keep him, I pushed harder than I normally would have. The strange part wasn't that we fought over him. It's that we didn't. She just nodded and said, "You should take him," in a way that still gives me chills. Winston settled into my new apartment faster than I did. For a while, things felt normal, until last night. I was taking him for his evening walk, just a quick loop around the block. We were about halfway through when Winston suddenly stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. His ears perked up, and his tail started wagging frantically like he recognized someone. That's when I heard it, a distinct 2-note whistle, the exact way Emily used to call Winston when we take him to the park. I froze, scanning the street. It was dead quiet, one porch light flickering a few houses down. No cars driving by, no one behind me. I checked behind bushes, looked across yards, thinking, maybe I imagined it. Winston started pulling toward a patch of trees across the streets, whining excitedly. I yanked his leash back and said his name, probably a little too hard. I didn't take any chances. We went straight home. That's when I saw it. Sitting on my front steps was Winston's metal food bowl, smashed, almost flat, like someone had stomped on it repeatedly. It wasn't there when we left for the walk. I stood frozen, gripping Winston's leash tight. Winston sniffed the bowl and sat down beside me, suddenly calm, like nothing had happened. I called Emily immediately, but her phone went straight to voicemail. When I checked social media to message her there, I discovered she deactivated all her accounts, or blocked me on all of them. I'm back at my apartment now after staying at my brother's place last night. Winston won't leave my side, which I find both comforting but also unsettling. He keeps looking towards the hallway and occasionally growling at nothing. The thing that scares me most isn't the whistle or even the bowl. It's how Emily knew where I lived. She's never been here. I moved in after we broke up. She doesn't even have my address. I've changed my locks, but that doesn't explain how someone got in without forcing entry. For now, Winston and I are sleeping with the bedroom door locked and a chair propped against it. Because I don't think this is over.